Hey gang, let's talk about Agile development and finish things out. Hey everyone, my name's Chris Wang. I'm a solutions architect here at GitLab. And really what we want to talk about today is Agile development and how GitLab can really accelerate Agile for your organization. So at a high level, one of the things that I want to talk about is that GitLab really is a full solution for workflow management. And so if you're using Jira or many of the other project management tools out there, you will find the exact same feature set with GitLab. But the advantage of using GitLab for everything is, one, you'll save in license costs, and two, you'll save your engineers time. So as opposed to having to integrate everything together, you can actually just use GitLab for everything. Let's dive into some of the actual things that GitLab has to offer in terms of workflow management. So right now I'm on GitLab and I'm actually looking at the GitLab issue board itself. So for our internal development teams, this is basically what our own engineers look at. And you can see that this is the issue board. It's very easy to follow along. You can see the number of issues that we have, the ones that more people are collaborating on, right? Let's take a look at an actual issue. So an issue for those that aren't familiar as much with GitLab is basically a discrete unit of work. So it could be add a new button into a website. It could be develop some new functionality. And one of the things I like to point out is that it's really easy to follow work and to assign work with GitLab. Over here, you can see this particular discrete unit of work. There's 2 engineers that are assigned to it. You can see which Epoch and Milestone are associated with it. And you can also see the amount of weight that we give this issue. So if it's something that's going to take a month of time, you can give it a higher weight. If it's something that's going to take 1 day, you can give it a lower weight. And this is actually something that GitHub does not have. Scrolling down, you can see that this is a pretty popular issue. There's a lot of people that are collaborating on it. And one of the really great things about GitLab is because so many different teams can use it for their job function, you just get more collaboration. So regularly, whereas you might have silos and then information's lost, because everyone's on GitLab, if you so choose to implement it for your organization, then your various teams, they can talk more and ultimately create better products because of better amounts of collaboration. There's many ways in which you can group your issues in GitLab. One way is using what we call Milestone, and this is basically a group of issues. So what we've done here for our own engineering teams is that we've grouped them by our release. So it could be a version of your website. The next version would be another milestone. And over here, you can see if I'm a manager coming in, it's very easy to keep track of how much work is left. I can just see that as this bar fills up, then I know that I'm basically good to go and we're ready for our next milestone. Another way in which we can just think about the issues in our organization and group them is through what we call an epic. And so an epic is another way of grouping related issues that have to do with the same theme. So an example epic is all of the issues that have to do with improving, let's just say, our user interface. Now that we've talked about issues ourselves, let's just talk about some of the great tools and additional functionality that we've built that really gives you visibility on workflow and just work in general in your organization. And so part of this is what we call the Insights tab. Over here, you can see the number of new issues that are being created by each date. And as you can see for our particular organization, as we scroll right, the number of issues that we're creating is only increasing. And so if I'm a manager or a leader in this organization, then what that tells me is I got to start thinking about staffing. And I got to start thinking about if, does this indicate to me that like the quality of our product is bad? Or, let's start thinking critically about this because something's changing. Another thing that we give you in GitLab is what we call Burndown Charts. And so Burndown Charts are another way of determining how much work is remaining. As you can see, this is for version 13.1 of GitLab. And we started out with 726 individual units of work or issues, right? And as you can see, as our engineers turn in their work and close issues, that we can basically follow the progression of work throughout the last couple of months. One of the things that's really hard as an engineering leader is forecasting how long, our major project's going to take. And so that's something that Burndown Charts tell you. As you can see, as we keep on scrolling to our right, whatever date would correspond to this part of the chart, that's what we can target for our release date. One last thing that we give you as part of GitLab is what we call a roadmap. And so what a roadmap is it's really important to understand what units of work can be done at the same time and which things need to happen sequentially, right? So if we're building a house, then you have to lay the foundation first. After you lay the foundation and it dries, then you can put in scaffolding. But after your scaffolding's up, you can start putting in electric and piping at the same time, right? So what we actually show you in terms of our roadmap is that you can see which things can overlap and which things need to be done sequentially. So right now, because in GitLab, we're only showing our releases, then everything is staggered, right? Because you're not going to work on one version of a software until the previous version's done. But if we did things differently, then this could actually show you which things need to be staggered and which things can work at the same time. So to summarize, GitLab has a complete end-to-end workflow solution. We completely have feature parity with some of the name brand solutions like Jira out there. And the value for having everything integrated together is that you can save on license costs, and you can also save your engineers time having to